Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Breaking news tonight on the federal raid of Donald Trump's home in Florida as the search warrant is unsealed, revealing what was taken from Mar-a-Lago. It tops our news tonight at 5. Federal agents uncovered top secret documents in their search of former President Donald Trump's Florida home.
These revelations coming after the Justice Department made public the contents of the search warrant. The former president had until 3 p.m. today to object to that release. He did not object. Susan McGinnis with the latest from Washington. Susan.
Well, NBC News has obtained and reviewed the search warrant, including a list of items removed from Trump's Florida property, some of which is marked top secret. FBI agents in their search of Donald Trump's Florida home on Monday turned up top secret and classified documents meant only for special government facilities, according to NBC News, which has obtained the Justice Department search warrant. Former President Trump earlier calling for the release of details on the FBI's search, posting on social media, "Release the documents now."
It's not even clear why the Trump team can't just release them on their own.
Trump denying the Washington Post's reporting that documents pertaining to nuclear weapons are among classified documents he improperly took from the White House, the prospect raising many questions.
What did he have in mind? If someone had broken in, that could have put all of our children in danger.
Dangerous rhetoric ramping up against the FBI online and even on Capitol Hill. One Republican congressman tweeting, "We must destroy the FBI."
The FBI raid of President Trump is a complete abuse and overreach of its authority.
The things that people are saying are picked up by people who may be unstable, and it's dangerous. People are threatening our law enforcement personnel. That's completely wrong.
Some Republicans defending the FBI.
I'm disgusted by the attacks on FBI agents.
The violent rhetoric becoming reality Thursday. An armed man who was at the January 6th insurrection tried to breach the FBI's field office in Cincinnati and was killed by law enforcement after appearing to have called online for violence against the FBI.
Subject supposed to be armed with body armor, fired several shots at officers.
The agency charged with protecting national security now also on high alert for the safety of its own agents. Thus far, the White House has remained silent on all aspects of this search, referring all questions to the Justice Department. In Washington, Susan McGinnis, Local 4.
All right, Susan, and obviously more as we continue to learn more on that story. Back here, criminals shooting at Detroit police in 2 different cases, making for a wild last night in Detroit. And today, newly released video showing us just how chaotic things got. The good news, no one ended up shot or even hurt for that matter. The bad news, though, more and more violence aimed at DPD, who today are pushing back as best they can. Rod Maloney live tonight with a look at what happened in both of these incidents. Rod.
Yeah, Devin, you know, this is in the age of the dash cam and the helicopter cam. We get a very good close-up and personal look at the violence on Detroit City streets last night. In the first incident, there was a carjacking that came after the police chase. The second one was a traffic stop that ended in a police chase, and it was all punctuated by gunfire.
They just took shots again. They're shooting again. They're shooting again.
The MSP helicopter helped guide ground officers in scout cars.
Multiple shot. He fired 6 more shots.
Who ended up dodging a hail of bullets fired out the sliding pickup rear window. This chase through 3 different downriver communities started as a traffic stop, the wrong plate on the truck, 3 armed men in the front seat. And this is what's called a pit maneuver. Police use their cruiser to push the truck offline at high speed. Yet the first hit didn't end the chase. The truck spun around, and the MSP officer had to give it a second, indelicate push.
Driver's out, he's armed. Driver's out, got a gun, long gun in his hand, running.
Officers apprehended all 3 men there. Earlier in the afternoon, DPD patrol officers heard gunfire, then ended up chasing 3 men in this red car that slammed into a church near McNichols on the west side. They bailed out. One accosted a woman with children asking to hide in her home. She said no. He fired a shot at a pursuing police officer before he took off in her silver Ford Flex that was running. 2 men caught. 1 man and that Flex remain on the streets. DPD's Captain Charles Fitzgerald lamenting the shootings, and in particular a 14-year-old's participation in these violent outbursts.
The individuals in the first caper last night fired shots, have lengthy criminal records. The young man, this 14-year-old man that was driving in the second incident, was just arrested 2 days prior for a non-fatal shooting. And he was released on a horrifically low bond.
Now, you may wonder what that was all about. Well, we're told, first of all, the 14-year-old was behind the wheel of that Dodge pickup that you saw there. And they also say that he was at a vacant home in southwest Detroit about a week ago with his girlfriend. And he allegedly shot her in the back. Police are saying that that young woman is likely to be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. Reporting live downtown, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Oh, boy. All right, Rod.
1 week after Heche was in a fiery crash in Los Angeles, her family says she is now legally dead, saying the world has lost a bright light. However, she has not been taken off life support. TMZ reporting life support machines are keeping her heart beating, preserving her organs for donation. And Heche apparently suffered a severe brain injury after her car crashed into a house last week.
Concerns over a possibly biased juror did not stop the proceedings today in the retrial of 2 men accused of plotting to kidnap Governor Whitmer. But the way the judge handled those concerns, that could come back into play later, perhaps. Sean Lay live with more on the juror situation and today's testimony. Sean.
Devin, it's a big deal. The juror remains on the jury right now, even after meeting in chambers with the judge without attorneys being present. Legal analysts are saying that could lead to a mistrial or, if the men are convicted, some kind of automatic appeal. Insiders calling today a critical stage in the trial after concerns were brought to the judge that a member of the jury may have told others before jury selection that they wanted to be on this jury, showing a possible juror with an agenda. Judge Robert Yonker questioned that juror, but did so without defense attorneys present. Insiders tell us that is a problem, and Adam Fox and Barry Croft could argue that they did not get a fair trial. That juror so far has not been removed, and if the judge removed the juror now, we're told that could cause alarm with the jury. Their focus might be on why and not on the evidence being presented. And the judge says he's handling what he's calling a fluid and developing situation with that juror behind closed doors, writing, for now, the court expects to continue addressing the situation in non-public hearings and filings while the case is pending to limit the risk of mistrial. During the trial today, prosecutors continue to call FBI agents who hired confidential informants to join the Wolverine Watchmen, as prosecutors say they planned the kidnapping of Governor Whitmer. But agents today revealed on cross-examination how one confidential informant shared a bed with defendant Barry Croft during training exercises and smoked marijuana with the group, a violation of FBI rules. Bottom line, the judge told the prosecutors and defense attorneys today to pick up the pace. He says this trial is taking too long with these early witnesses. In the meantime, trial watchers were speaking with legal analysts are saying that juror may have been left on the jury not to upset the flow of the trial or lead to a mistrial, could be replaced by an alternate jury once deliberations begin. We're live tonight. Sean Lay, Local 4, back to you.
All right, Sean.
The House of Representatives voting on the Inflation Reduction Act, and it is expected to pass. If the House approves the bill, it would go to President Biden to be signed into law. The White House says the roughly $700 billion package will address inflation in 2 ways: by lowering energy and health care costs for families and by helping bring down the deficit. However, experts say the proposal won't curb inflation dramatically or right away. The bill also plans to bring in more than $300 billion in revenue.
What a week of weather it's been. I guess we give Kim Adams all the credit, right?
Sure.
This is what she
We're
brought.
Gonna fill her tip jar, right?
Yes, a tip jar would be a good idea right about now. It's been perfect, Kim.
No, you know my rule. What is my rule?
I know.
What is my rule?
No credit, no blame.
No credit, no blame.
Yeah.
Exactly. But maybe just a little bit of credit for tonight because it's going to be so nice outside. I hope you have plans with your family outside because we don't get a lot of days like this. And Sandra was mentioning earlier, it feels almost like there's a little bit of fall in the air. So there's certainly a crispness to it. We have some showers out to our west. You can see them bumping into that dry air mass. Temperatures right now in the upper 70s to right around 81 degrees out at Metro Airport. If you are headed out to tailgate tonight, better get going. Game starts at 6. 5 o'clock, 79 degrees. We'll have comfortable conditions throughout the evening hours with lows dropping down overnight into the 50s. But what about that weekend forecast and the chance for rain? I'll have it for you in a few minutes.
All right, Kim, well, you mentioned it. They are no favorites, certainly, to make the Super Bowl or even the playoffs for that matter. But in part thanks to HBO's Hard Knocks. The Detroit Lions are the football team right now that seems like everybody wants to watch.
Yeah, it sure does. And that starts tonight at Ford Field, where Jamie Edmonds is live ahead of the Lions' first preseason game. Hey, Jamie.
Hey there, guys. You know, football is back, even if it is an exhibition game. And as you said, there's the regular Lions optimism for a new season. And then, of course, you couple that with Hard Knocks. And we have people walking by here who are just so pumped for this season. Now, Dan Campbell said this week he wants the starters to play for about a quarter. Then it will be about individual battles, players who have to prove themselves and those fighting for a job. Look for Jeff Okudah. He's back from injury. He needs to show he can be a starter at corner. There's also a quarterback competition to look out for, plus the linebackers and, so much more. Remember, the Lions are coming off a 3-win season. Here is Campbell talking about why he wants to see those starters for a full quarter.
I'd like to get our starters some reps in this game, maybe a quarter. And you just can't mimic game speed and game intensity. And the only way to get ready for a season is to simulate that intensity.
Now, if you watched Hard Knocks, you know that Dan Campbell told his players he doesn't want to expose them to any unnecessary injury, but he does need to see them play as they build this culture in year 2 of his era. That starts tonight with an exhibition game with the Falcons, and we'll talk about that more coming up in sports. Back to you.
Well, and we're loving the idea we're going to get to see the starters play a bit tonight. That'll be the topic of conversation throughout tonight and the weekend, no doubt about it. All right, Jamie.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jamie.
Well, just getting started here at 5. Ahead, the national pharmacy chain offering a signing bonus. A signing bonus. It might have more people thinking about getting into that particular career field.
We'll have that. Plus, here's Priya.
Research suggests that by 14 years old, the vast majority of girls will drop out of organized sports, while an event in Pontiac is making sure that doesn't happen.
The state warning about a new invasive species of insect that can be found on common trees like this one grown right in your backyard. Coming up, what you should look for and why they're so dangerous.